Well, hey there, folks. Really for no other reason but just to pull a radio and an amplifier out and hook it up and make a video on it. That's all I'm really doing. I've recently came across a video on YouTube of an older gentleman who says, he went onto the ham forums and, he read the proper way to set up a CB radio to an amplifier. And according to him, the proper way was you leave your radio alone. You don't even need a radio with an adjustable RF power, right? It's just set at your 4 watts, and I think it was swinging to like 10 or 12 watts, right, on the top. It's just, a stock radio. It was a Uniden 980 SSB, if you guys are familiar with those. They do have adjustments inside, of course, you can adjust them, but this guy didn't. And he says, and he was running it into a little RM Italy 203, which is a little tiny amplifier, like not much bigger than a pack of cigarettes. And he says the proper way to run a radio, for all the hams out there, is you let your radio dead key 4 watts, and you let it swing up to whatever it's supposed to swing to factory, and that you don't want your radio any higher than 80% modulation. Okay? I don't know. Maybe this works in the ham radio world. I don't know. But if you're into CB radio and you actually want your voice to sound loud and proud on the other radio coming out of the speaker, and you don't want to burn your amplifier up, you have to lower your dead key on your radio. That's the amount of RF power it puts out when you key the microphone and you don't talk in it. Dead key, no modulation. Now, other people will say, I read on these Facebook CB forums, I just got this radio because it's a good radio, they're popular, and you have adjustable RF power on the outside of the radio. Now, if you had something like a Cobra 29 or something like that, there is no RF adjustment on the outside. Something like that Uniden 980 SSB or even the Uniden 880, something like that. Just your run-of-the-mill 40-channel radio. You're not going to have your RF power on the outside. Basically, any radio you buy at a truck stop or something is not going to have external RF power. It's against FCC rules, right? So, it doesn't mean you can't buy a radio like this or dozens of others that are out there. Striker 955, a Connex, the list goes on and on and on and on. And they will have adjustable RF power. But whether they do or don't, it doesn't matter. You can adjust this inside of your radio. It's just a little, anyways, I'm getting off topic. So I read on these CB forums, right? Well, I'm going to hook my, let's just say it's a Cobra 29 or whatever, Galaxy 959, doesn't matter. I'm going to hook it up to my, let's just say a 2-pill amp, because that's what this is, right? Texas Star DX350 high drive. Okay. I'm going to hook it up to a 2-pill amp. 2-pill amp means it has 2 transistors in it. There's no driver. All the driver means is you'll have a transistor that makes power, makes RF power, and that drives the final transistors. It can be a 1x2, it can be a 2x4, they go all the way up. So anyways, I've been reading a lot, and they say, one guy will say, oh, you need to set it at 1 watt. Another guy will say you need 2 watts. Another guy will say 2.5 watts, 3 watts. It's all over. These people are talking out of their butt is what they're doing. There is no way that you can just have a CB radio and a random amplifier and just know where to put the dead key at to make the amplifier run cool, to get maximum audio out of it, for it to last and for it to sound good. you know, to everyone else out there in CB world. Yeah, if I have this radio and I have this amplifier and another guy has the same exact radio and the same exact amplifier, and I'm running mine at, let's say it's a 1.5 watt dead key, and I tell the guy, you know, set it at a 1.5 watt dead key, that's a good starting point. It's pretty safe because he has the same exact thing I have. But there's so many variances, right? These things that they need to, you know, back in the day, you know, they would say, you know, you need to have your radio married to your amplifier. That's not the case with one of these because you can adjust it, but you still need to know where you want to set it. So I hope this kind of makes sense. So I have this set up where all I did was I dead key the mic, no modulation, turn the power button on, and this here is a variable. It's just a potentiometer. I have it wide open, so it's really not doing anything. And when I keyed the mic, it didn't turn the amp on, and that's because I had the RF power all the way down. I have this RF power set at 0.5 watt all the way down, and probably maybe 4 or 5 watts all the way up. I don't know. We'll test that. But it wasn't enough to make the amp relay latch. So I slowly ran it up until the amp kicked on. Now I know the relay's latching and it's making power. So we're at the minimum point right now where this amplifier will work. And we're going to go over here and we're going to look and we're going to see where that is. So I have this on the 70 or on the 250 watt scale right there, as you can see. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to key the mic and not talk. And you can see that is exactly at 75 watts. So what that means is the radio, whatever we have this set at, this amplifier is keying up at 75 watts. Now let's see what it swings to when we modulated it. I'll go up to a 1000 watt scale. That's going to be the top scale. You know, the scales are going to be a little bit off on these meters. You can see it's almost at the 75, but hello, audio, 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 hello, 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 audio, check, 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 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, audio, check, 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 hello, 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 hello. You know, it's doing every bit of 350 watts, what the name suggests here. Now, I do have the modulation turned up more than 80% in here. You know, the limiter's still in it. I just adjusted it where I like it. I don't have the mic gain all the way open. I still have more mic gain. I'll be right back. Give me 1 second. All right. I had the phone ringing over there I had to go tend to. So anyways, we see what it's dead keying. Let's just call it 75 watts. Those are my microfiber towels for my car, by the way. And let's just call it, you know, it changes with your audio of your voice. Let's just call it 350 watts, okay? That's what this is doing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set this back on the 250 scale. Actually, no. I'm going to put it on the 5 watt scale now. I'm going to turn the amplifier off. So all we have is radio power. And now we're going to see what our radio dead key is. 5 watt scale. You guys ready? The bottom one there. That's about 3/4 of a watt. So it's taking 3/4 of a watt from this radio to make a 75 watt dead key. Now the rule of thumb people say is, you know, you want 1 to 4. Meaning, let's say this amplifier did 400 watts. When you dead key your radio, This should dead key 100 watts. When you modulate, you should go to 400 watts. I don't go by that rule. You know, I set my stuff so it's loud and proud and it sounds good. Now this is an amp I've had for many, many years. Back in the day when I lived in Las Vegas, I got this amp, little 2-pill. You know, I put an antenna up, a base station antenna. Pretty rare antenna. It was a Shakespeare, Shakespeare. Wasn't the regular big stick. It was like Super Big Stick 3. Instead of having 2 portions, it had 3. But anyway, that's my first antenna I had. I've progressed since then. But I was running this, and I was talking all over all of Vegas with this. Not even on skip, just line of sight. I was talking from Vegas at my base station to a guy clear out in Golden Valley, Arizona. Matter of fact, a lot of guys in Vegas were running a lot more power than me. And just maybe my location, that guy told me I'm coming in over everyone else. So if you have your stuff set up, sometimes it's not all about power. A lot of it's about audio. So let's say I turn the RF power up and I dead key this at, well, you know what? Let's just show you. I'll show you exactly what it'll do. So I'm going to key the microphone up, and while I do it, the amp's off. I'm going to roll the dead key up. We're going to go to 1 watt. I think we can all agree that's 1 watt. Now what I'll do, turn the amp on the 250, or the meter on 250, turn the amp on. Nothing else has changed except I went from 3/4 of a watt to 1 watt. Now we're going to see where it dead keys at. You guys ready? We're on the 250 scale. About 110 watts, I'm going to call it. Let's go up to the 1000 watt scale. We're going to modulate. There you go. Same thing. 105, 110 watts. Hello, 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 hello. Audio, audio, audio. Hello, hello, hello. Now if you noticed, I'm not making any more power up on the top end. I've raised my dead key, but I'm not making any more power up high. So now what we'll do, we'll turn the amplifier off. We're going to go back to the 5 watt scale. I'm going to dead key it, and I'm going to roll the RF power up a little bit more. We can call that 1 1/4 watts. 250 scale. Turn the amplifier back on. I'm going to dead key it. We're going to see where it is. That's a 125 watt dead key. Go to 1000 watt scale. We're going to modulate. Hello, 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 audio, 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 hello, hello. As you see, I don't get any more power top end. However, I'm raising my dead key. And I'll explain to you what that does. The higher your amplifier dead keys, the more heat it's going to produce. That's really what kills these things. It's not so much the swing from the radio. This radio, I think it probably does 30 or 35 watts. As a matter of fact, let's verify it together right now. We're going to turn the amplifier off. We're going to put this on the 50 watt scale, radio only, and let's modulate. See, there's that 1.5 watt dead key, or whatever we just had. Hello, audio. Hello, audio. 30 watts. I can turn my mic gain up and probably get more. Hello, audio, hello. So I can get 35 if I turn the mic gain up. That's another thing, guys. A lot of old timers, and especially the ham guys, right? They don't want you to turn the modulation up over 80 or 100%. They're going to say it's going to splatter, it's going to do this, it's going to do that. If you go in here and you cut or you solder the limiter out, yes, that's true. But if you simply go in here with the screwdriver and you find your modulation potentiometer and you turn it up, even if you do turn it up a little too much and people say, you know what, you sound a little raspy, a little bit overmodulated, guys, when your mic gain's wide open, this is going to control it. You can turn it back and get it sounding perfect. So that way, if you really want that punch, you can open it. So in these Galaxies, you can literally go in there and open that modulation pot all the way open, and you're not going to hurt anything because it still has a limiter and it's still going to pull it back. That's just the simple fact. So anyways, what I was saying is, now let's say I listened to a guy online and he said this needed a 2-watt dead key. Well, you know what? Let's do that. Let's put this on the 5-watt scale. Radio only. And let's get a 2-watt dead key. No, you know what? Let's just do a 1.5-watt dead key. I don't want to burn my equipment up there. 1.5-watt dead key, right? Now, go to the 250 scale, turn this back on, and let's dead key. Let's see where it's at. 250 scale. That's nearly a 150-watt dead key. That's too much for a little amp like this. If I just hold the key on the microphone and don't even talk, this thing's going to heat up. Those transistors are going to heat up, and once you do start talking, it's going to melt this thing down. Now I have a fan on here, it's going to help, but these don't come with fans. So let's say you had one without a fan, it's really going to heat up. And here's another thing. This is simply a fan mounted on the heatsink. It's not like a custom amp design where the fans are inside and they blow air over the components and then they go underneath through the heatsink and out the back. So the inside of this box is still going to get hot if I run a dead key like that. Now, that's why I'm saying you can't listen to someone that says you need a 1-watt, a 2-watt, a 3-watt. You really have to put it on the bench and do it yourself. And here's another thing. Let's say I did leave it where it is and I did talk on it at 150-watt dead key. And let's just say, you know, I have a good fan. It doesn't heat up. It's not going to melt. Okay. My audio is going to sound compressed and garbled on the other end. If I turn this dead key down to about 75 watts on this particular amp where those relays latch, my audio will never be louder than that point. And I know a lot of the ham guys and the old timers are going to say it's bullshit, but it's not. It's the truth. And here's another thing you can do. You take a handheld CB radio, just like this. Put it on whatever channel you're going to do, channel 20, channel 20. Take your antenna off. Put headphones on. You put the headphones over your ears. And when you key up, you can actually hear the background noise, like in the room. Maybe we're hearing the fan run or, you know, something else. But you can hear like a static. And as you turn your dead key up with your amp on, you're going to hear that static get quieter and quieter the higher you go and quieter. And on the other end, people are going to hear you the same way. Your audio is going to get quieter and quieter. You're going to work the amp harder and harder, and you're going to burn up the transistors in it. So if you want your audio at its maximum loudest, here's the easy way to do it. You have your radio, you have your amplifier, you have your meter. You get it set up where it's happy. If you want to do the 1 to 4, you can do the 1 to 4. What I recommend is you turn your dead key up until your relay latches. Okay, it'll go click and you'll start making power. At that point, you put your headphones on and you listen. You don't talk, you just listen. And as you turn the RF power up, you're going to listen up and down. And wherever that background static noise is the loudest, stop. Your audio will never be louder than that. I'm going to tell you guys, a fellow CBer told me this years ago. And this guy didn't like you mentioning his name. I'm not even going to mention his name here. Because, you know, maybe some of you guys have talked to him, or some of you guys live in Vegas, you might know who he is. He doesn't want any recognition, but the dude, you know what, some of the other CBers, you know, they'd snicker behind his back and, you know, blah, blah, blah. They wouldn't say anything to his face. You know how people are. But this guy, I listened to him because I heard his radio. I heard how he sounded like. I knew what he was using. And everyone else can talk all the crap they want. This dude, I knew he knew his shit, so I listened to him. It's one piece of advice he gave me right there, and it works, guys. I've been using it ever since. That was, I don't know what it was. At least 15, 20 years ago, probably. I don't know. It was a long time ago. It works. And that's how your audio will never be louder. You guys can, like I say, talk all the crap you want, and that's fine. You can set your radios up how you want, but if you want loud audio and you don't want to burn your amps up, this is the way to do it. Now, if I set this dead key up perfect for this amp, and I went and grabbed another amplifier, right? It can even be another 2-transistor amplifier, just a different brand. It's going to affect it differently because each amp is going to be built differently. It's going to have different input padding. You know, maybe one has a variable, maybe one doesn't. This allows you to control the power getting to the transistors. It's basically like adjustable RF power. But if you hit this thing with too much dead key and you try to adjust it, you can burn this this resistor up in here. So that's why, in my opinion, it's best. You just run these wide open. You adjust your dead key on your radio. You use a handheld like this. You get it right where it needs to be. And, you know, we're on a dummy load, so everything's, you know, like a perfect environment. And then once you decide whether you're on a base station or you're going to put it in your vehicle, you either use an SWR meter and you get your antenna dialed in. That's a whole nother subject we can go over another day. But you get your antenna dialed in. If you do have access to a, oh, let me find it. I know I have it in here somewhere. Yeah, if you have access to an antenna analyzer like this, you can use this. Your radio is not even hooked up to it. This analyzes your antenna. This shows you exactly where you need to get it. Great tool. If you don't have one of these and you don't want to spend the money on it, see if someone else has one and they'll let you, maybe they'll come over, you know, or let you borrow it or help you out. And once your antenna SWR is set, whether it's on your home, on your base station, or your vehicle, as long as you don't move or adjust that antenna, this is another thing I hear. Oh, you know, is a Wilson 1000 a good antenna for a Galaxy 959, right? Is a Wilson 1000 a good antenna for a Striker 955? Or, you know, is a K40 antenna a good antenna for a Cobra 29? Guys, it doesn't matter. Once your antenna SWR is set on your base station or your vehicle, those SWRs are not going to change. You can put whatever radio you want to put in there. It's not going to change. So that's just another fact that people just, they don't seem to understand it. Your SWR is set at your antenna in your vehicle or your antenna you know, your base station, your environment, whatever it is. As long as you don't change the coax on the antenna length, or you move it on your vehicle, if it's like a magnet mount, it's not going to change. You can just swap radios, nothing will change. Now, if you swap amps, you got to do the same thing again. You got to dial them in, okay? So, hope this helps. Now, if I were to come over here and grab this is a Texas Star 667. This is a 1 driving 4. Everything's going to change on this. I would have to adjust the dead key of my radio. If I grab this here, this is a 2 driving 8 MOSFET amplifier. Things are going to change. It's going to have to be set up differently. That's just the way it is.